$38 million dump. Google loves ZK, and Apple is backing down. These are the top stories that we're going to go over today. Plus, Mike is going to bring to us 3 projects that are securing major funding. Let's unpack all of it. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, man. It's apparently Gray Hoodie Day on the Mik Mike Crypto Show. You're looking good.
I'm glad you got the memo. I'm glad you got the memo for sure. How are you feeling about it? Are you feeling gray or are you feeling optimistic?
The weather here in New Jersey is pretty gross and gray. But I was, kind of reading some recaps about Token 2049, which happened last week, and I did not attend. I don't know if you were there, but seems like there's kind of your typical, builders focusing on the valuable stuff, and then there's the flash and excess that comes with maybe a combination of crypto and Dubai. But overall, still extremely optimistic, even though we are in interesting times.
Yeah, I did not attend Token 2049. However, I will be at Consensus. So if anybody watching this, if you're attending and you want to connect, please, would love to see you out there and meet in person. Mike, let's jump right into it. There's a big controversy happening right now. And, I'll preface by saying this isn't like a hit piece. We're just here trying to uncover and have a discussion, right? So let's jump right into it. So Movement Labs, there's a cloud over Movement Labs right now, and it has to do with a team that's affiliated, maybe not affiliated, right? I know you're very close to this story. Why don't you give a quick recap, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Sure. So I will say that over the last couple of days, I listened to Laura Shin's podcast Unchained, where Sam Kessler, the CoinDesk writer, explained it just very well on that podcast. So I'll give them props, and that helped me understand what was going on. And it is like there is a very tangled web here that, we don't have enough time to go over every little bit. But essentially, what happened was Movement Labs, the makers of the Move blockchain, they apparently gave this like obscure entity called Rentech control over 66 million Move tokens, which was over 5% of the supply. And then this, because Rentech had so many tokens, this led to a $38 million token dump on the day of their token listing, which happened last December. But the kind of investigation was just coming out now. So like Rentech was initially misrepresented as an affiliate of Web3 Port, which is a Chinese market maker, but Rentech appears to have like no digital footprint whatsoever. And then there were some weird relationships where the CEO of Web3 Port said that the general counsel of Movement Labs was like his general counsel. Is a lot of weird stuff going on. But anyway, it turned out like the contract showed that Rentech acted on both sides of the deal. So there was concerns about just governance failures and self-dealing. Essentially, the agreement allegedly incentivized inflating the price of the Move token to a $5 billion valuation. And then like that allowed the market maker to sell off and essentially dump on retail. And some advisors who looked at the initial deal warned that it was possibly the worst agreement they had ever seen. And in crypto, that is, that is saying a lot. And so recently, Movement Labs co-founder Rusi Manch, he's kind of this larger-than-life founder. He was the one who initially circulated and supported the contract. As such, he and advisors have been suspended or under investigation for their roles. And also the other co-founder of Movement Labs, he maintains that they were misled. They've hired an external firm called Groom Lake for an independent probe. But what this results in is Move had there was a lot of hype behind the project. Very very strong list of investors, and just there's no trust left anymore, right? We don't know exactly what the whole story is and like who is at fault, how this happened, but essentially Rentec got banned by Binance, or Web3 port got banned by Binance. Coinbase delisted the Move token recently, and overall there's just a lot of trust lost, and it's kind of still an ongoing story, but it just shows that there's as much as we talk about transparency in the crypto space, there's still a lot of like shadow dealings going on, and unfortunately this is not looking good on Movement Labs and the Move community.
And on top of that, I feel like right now, for people in the industry, like market makers, when it comes to centralized exchanges, get like a really bad reputation, right? And I feel like their services are in demand for a reason, right? Because they create liquidity, and majority of them are, they want the project to succeed. But at the end of the day, they are also in it to make money. The other part of the story here is the market makers, right? How they dumped the token. And I hear these types of stories all the time, right? You have an agreement between the market maker and the project, and project has a certain expectation. Market makers are in it to essentially make money, and kind of leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, besides the market makers, because they make the money. And a lot of times it paints them in a bad light. And I don't think that they're all bad, but they are in the business of making money. And my question to you, Mike, is like, do you think that the current model should stay? Like, when you look at centralized exchanges and then working with these market makers, is that the best solution, or is this going to incentivize more projects to go the decentralized exchange route, or perhaps maybe try to bootstrap, do self-market making? Like, what do you think is the solution here?
That's a very tough question to answer, but I want to back it up a little bit and say, I do agree. Like understand the role of market makers, right? It's just kind of this open secret that their role in token launches is to create trading volume. And I've been personally part of two projects that got kind of hosed by market makers on token launch, and then there are some deep ventures portfolio companies that kind of got hurt by market makers. And I'm not here to either dump on market makers either. I know they play an important role, and I've got contacts at market makers, and all very good people. And like it's really, I'm no expert in how to structure these deals, but there's something wrong with the way they're structured, right? Especially this one. This may be an outlier. This movement deal, maybe obviously it's been called possibly the worst agreement ever. Obviously, this one is like absolutely horrible. But there's just a problem. Like, I still think that market makers will play a role, but there's a problem with the way these deals are structured. That maybe there's a little bit of information asymmetry, where the market makers really understand all the market mechanics that may happen upon a token launch, and different ways they make money, but that maybe some of these projects may not fully understand, and because some of these, there's loan agreements, there's certain goals that are to be reached, and there's probably just a lot of situations that can potentially go wrong that may not be covered in these contracts. So I think, I don't know if the answer, look, I mean, overall, I think we all want to kind of move towards a fully decentralized role. And as part of that, maybe just launching tokens on a DEX, obviously like Hyperliquid had a very, a successful token launch for a number of reasons. And I just think that if we want to solve a short-term problem, like maybe just look at the way these contracts are structured, and have the right people look at those contracts, because it just seems to happen over and over and over again, right? So there's got to be something structurally wrong with these contracts that I think can be a stopgap solution for some of these token launches.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe eventually this would be government regulated. I mean, I don't know. We always talk about government's involvement and how much of it do we want. I can kind of see there's certain areas of Web3 where I can kind of see the government stepping in and setting certain criterias. Like this is a good example. Another one would be security in terms of the things that need to be checked off before you launch. But ultimately, this is all decentralized, right? So how do you navigate that?
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm not a big proponent of just saying, just having government just come in and just create policies around stuff like this. I think it has to be extremely widespread, and just there has to be some kind of like provable. I don't know what I'm trying to say, like fraud or stuff. So I think like it's just the way the legal structure of these contracts are, right? Like, I mean, if you have someone signing, all this stuff is very, very legal. You've got two parties agreeing to something. I just think more the problem is in what they're agreeing to and knowing what they're agreeing to. So yeah, I don't propose that government come in and start regulating this stuff at this point. I think we just overall people should be able to get smarter on how these contracts are structured.
Moving on to some good news, Mike. Google adds blockchain technology to wallet, which allows users to prove age without sharing data. And this ties to the ZK technology, which for those that are watching may not be familiar with what ZK is. In a 30,000 foot overview, in a nutshell, you essentially can prove, for instance, that you're 18 years old, for access to restricted applications, for instance, without revealing your birthday, your name. So it verifies your age cryptographically, not through any kind of documentation. And so this is huge because this is technology that is derived from Web3, right? From crypto, but is being used by big tech.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, right? Like, so overall the story is Google Wallet has launched this age verification feature using ZKPs, zero knowledge proofs, and allows users to prove that they're over 18 without sharing the personal details. And like ZK is an extremely highly mathematical technology, but essentially what it boils down to is you can prove certain facts without providing the underlying data. And the kind of very simple example I always use is like a home alarm, right? Let's say we want to turn on my house alarm. Like I can prove to you that I know the code to turn on the alarm by either one, telling you the code, right? Which is full knowledge, you get full knowledge, or I can just set the alarm with the code, and when it's proven that the alarm is on, I've just proved to you without telling you the code that I know the code, right? So in this case, that's a simple way of how ZK works. So being able to do that without divulging all this information is huge. We've been talking about ZK in blockchain for a long time. It is kind of at the foundation of a lot of these privacy protocols that have been launching over the years. Zcash, obviously one of the kind of OG of ZK, and now we're seeing it, kind of finally being adopted by one of the largest tech companies in the world. So it's great, and I think there's just going to be hopefully this translates into kind of just overall more knowledge about the space, overall more adoption, across all different types of technologies, whether Web 2, Web 3. But anyway, the system's rolling out in the UK and select US states. And one of the first partners is an app like Bumble, the dating app, which will use this technology for our user age checks. And what's cool is that like it's live in the Google Wallet, but also it's in Google's digital credential API. So now any developer who's using this API and building their apps, they can integrate this ZK technology into their apps. So I think this is just the beginning. It's going to be ZK season. It's going to be privacy season very soon. And it's awesome to see that finally getting its getting into the spotlight.
We always talk about how Web3 needs Web2 a lot more than Web2 needs Web3. Now we're starting to see these stories come out where there are use cases where, big tech is looking at us and saying, you know what, we could probably use some of that. So I'm with you. I'm super excited about this. What do you think this means for like the Ethereum ecosystem, like the layer twos that are being built? A lot of them are utilizing ZK technology. What do you think
Yeah,
it means for that?
yeah. I mean, look, I think they're still going to continue to develop their ecosystems. I think for the most part, like their ZK Sync, like and some other products, like Aztec, like their their technologies are, I'm not going to say they're fully developed, but like many of them are on mainnet, and it's just a matter of like mind share and distribution now, because I think if you're able to have someone like Google kind of shout from the rooftops about this technology, that'll only trickle down the into your distribution plan, into getting more users using your tech. So it'll still take a little bit of time because obviously people are still, the vast majority of technology users are still using Web 2 and not fully in Web 3 yet. But I think that it'll make that transition, that eventual transition over to Web 3 that much easier when there's more education.
Another big tech company, Mike, that it's turning the corner on Web3 and crypto is Apple. They're easing their NFT crypto rules for iOS apps following antitrust ruling. So, is this having to do with that story that honestly is a long time coming, where they were taking just enormous amount of revenue just for listing the applications on the iOS?
Right. So this is coming from the U.S. District Court ruling with Epic Games, right? So essentially, um, it's not so much just listing the application, but on the App Store or Google Play. Well, this is specific to the App Store, but it's the 30% revenue share that is just like is is terrible for any app developer. And Epic Games was essentially doing a lot of things to circumvent that, and they took them to court. And like that is just we've got this duopoly of for mobile app discovery between Apple and Google, and I believe they both take. I know Apple takes 30% commission. I believe Google does the same, and that is just that like it's just really hard for, especially for a small mobile app developer, in which everyone has mobile apps now, to really get into the game and like make money, right? When someone's just taking a 30% haircut right off the top. So this is massive, and I think there's a lot of smaller crypto and NFT companies just can't do business on the App Store because of this commission. So this is huge for now, not just for Web3, but for really everyone, and any mobile app developer. And but specific to Web3, developers can now enable NFT minting, listing, transfers versus external payment systems, and just being able to go out to facilitate purchases outside of the App Store is a huge thing. Despite these changes, though, like Apple still continues to be anti-crypto on a bunch of other things like crypto mining, token-based rewards, direct crypto payments within apps. Like maybe we'll see, especially with the pickup of all these stable coins. We'll see how they how they respond to that. But it is they're still holding a pretty strong anti-crypto stance. They intend to appeal the court's decision, but I think this is a huge win for both Web 2 and Web 3 across all mobile app developers.
Meanwhile, we just got done talking about privacy, and Polygon spinoff Miden secures 25 million to bring speed privacy to institutional giants. So this is the segment of the show where we talk about top 3 projects that are securing funding. And today we're going to start with Miden.
Yep. So privacy blockchain, they raised 25 mil in a seed round led by A16Z Crypto, Hack VC, 1KX, with participation from Symbolic Capital, Finale Capital, and others. So yes, they spun out of Polygon Labs. This is actually, they've been working on Miden for a few years now, I believe. But essentially, they use zero knowledge proofs to offer high scalability and privacy, and they execute transactions on like edge devices, like users' devices. So very decentralized. And it's focused. Miden's focused on enabling confidential, high throughput applications. So I think it's one of my buddies, Azim, is one of the co-founders there. So big raise, and he, he's super excited, and I think it's like, this is kind of, I think we're going to see a lot of L1s and L2s. Like, this is almost going to be almost the default way to build a new blockchain, is with privacy and scalability in mind through using ZK proofs. Now, I think it's just going to be, like I mentioned before, it's going to be privacy season very soon. Combine that with the Google news, and I think you're going to see a lot more of these L1s and L2s using privacy and building on privacy, and with that thought in mind.
It usually does take a big story, kind of like the Google story, to push that narrative into Web3. So I agree with you. This could really speed up the process of that narrative for sure. Next, Michael, let's talk about Dinari.
Yeah. So one of the big, when I was reading some of the recaps of Token 2049, RWAs was a big conversation there, and that's been a big conversation for the last couple of years, I think. So Dinari is an RWA token protocol. They raised 12.7 million in a Series A round led by Hack VC again, Blockchains Ventures, with Van Eck, F Prime, Blizzard, and others. So Dinari enables users to access and trade tokenized equities, what they call D shares, which are one-to-one backed by underlying stocks, ETFs, other securities held in reserve. And I think we kind of take that for granted. Like, we can trade stocks, on any kind of any of these platforms, Robinhood, whatnot. But I think, just one of these problems that, mostly happens in emerging markets where, people want access to US-based stocks, just Google, Apples of the world, Microsofts, but it's really difficult for them to get access to it. So putting that stuff on chain, and making that experience seamless and frictionless, that's what Dinari is aiming for. And I think also just making sure that everything is regulatorily compliant is something that they're aiming for as well.
We talked about a very strong use case, like the ZK being a very strong use case in crypto. Another one that is pretty strong is being able to authenticate AI and intellectual property. And it sounds like, Mike, if I understand this correctly, that's what Camp Network is doing. Is that right?
Yep. So Camp Network is an IP protocol. They've raised 25 million in the Series A round led by 1KX again, Blockchain Capital, with participation from OKX Ventures, Lattice Fund, Paper Ventures, and others. And yeah, that's exactly right. Like, I think Camp modernizes intellectual property infrastructure, powers AI agents trained on user-owned provenance-backed IP. So, really in this thread of making sure that people who contribute, whether it's data, whether it's creative works, that they get properly compensated for it. And like you said, in this age of AI, we've got provenance, which is super important. where all of these AI models are using all of the content that's out on the internet for their profit, right? And their profit alone, right? The people who are contributing this data, contributing these works of art, contributing this content is just they're getting worked, right? They're not getting compensated for their data. So provenance is key, but also we go back to privacy. Privacy is super key too, right? Like to be able to if I want to dedicate my data and contribute my data, I want to be able to do, yes, I want to help train the models, I want to get compensated for it, but I want to be able to do that in a privacy preserving way. So the combination of I think AI is really driving this, the growth of both provenance and privacy protocols in crypto.
Another solid episode, Mike. We talked about the drama, the good news, big tech jumping into Web3 and utilizing Web3 technology, and 3 solid projects that are securing some big money. So it's out there. I know a lot of projects are struggling right now. The money's out there, and it's a good place to end it there. And if those that are watching, if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, give Mike a follow on X, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right. See you, everyone.